Well, hello everybody, and welcome to a impromptu live stream. Today I really felt it necessary that I address the reports that are now coming from the World Health Organization in regards to their different they're basically their guidelines, their recommendations for sexuality around children. And so I thought that this was definitely something that I wanted to address. I know that when I do the impromptu live streams, I'm probably not going to have much of an audience, if any audience at all. That's okay. I really just did want to do this live stream so that this video exists and that people can actually find this video, perhaps if they are searching for more information in regards to this disgusting information we are now seeing from the World Health Organization. So for those of you who aren't aware, I will just reiterate what has just come from the World Health Organization. Well, in fact, it actually hasn't just recently been a recommendation and guidance released from the World Health Organization. This was actually released in 2010. So you have to ask yourself, why are they now publicly releasing this guidance into the mainstream media so that people are aware of it? So if anybody wasn't aware of it back in 2010, and I mean, how many of us were aware of this guidance back in 2010? Because really, unless the mainstream media are doing articles and covering this type of information, then we really don't know all of the different situations that come about in these agencies. And so back in 2010, the World Health Organization released their guidance for schools recommending that toddlers, okay, I'm talking about 4-year-olds, okay, who shouldn't even know about sex, shouldn't even be thinking about it. I mean, it shouldn't even be in their universe at 4 years old. I mean, the only thing that toddlers should be thinking about at 4 years old is what Barbie doll or what truck or, you know, what toy they want to play with, or, you know, what food mum is going to bring them soon, you know, what TV show what cartoon, you know, children's cartoon they want to watch. I mean, I wouldn't even let my child be watching any of these cartoons because they're socially engineering the children now using children's television, okay? They're slowly introducing this whole, well, this little boy has 2 fathers and this little girl has, you know, 2 mothers, and, you know, oh, this little boy, he likes to wear tutus and dresses, and that's okay because he can choose whatever gender he wants. I mean, they're introducing this to our children right now, okay, and they're doing this. They're actively doing this now through our schooling system. Okay, so this is happening while we just stand aside and do nothing about it. Okay, they are coming for our children now. They've already been coming for our children. So the title isn't really correct in the fact that, you know, now they've just drawn a line in the sand and they're coming for our children. No, they've been coming for our children for a very long time. Now, they're just letting us know that they're coming for our children because, as I said, even though the WHO released this guidance back in 2010, it's the media who are now paying attention and bringing attention to this guidance that the WHO released back in 2010. Okay, they want us to know. They want us to see what they're doing to our children. Okay, now, so the guidance is for schools recommending that toddlers, as I said, 4-year-olds, okay, ask questions about sexuality and explore gender identities at 4 years old. Our planet is effing insane. Do you guys understand that? Our society, humanity, is freaking insane. Okay, put a fork in it. Humanity is done. And I don't understand why we're just all, carrying on as business as usual when this shit is literally coming out now in front of our faces and everyone's just going about as though it's business as usual. I mean, the World Health Organization, this is who all of our governments take their guidance from when it comes to vaccinations and, guidance in regards to wearing masks and, 1.5 meter distance, so that we don't infect each other with the flu and all of this other shit that they started pushing on us a few years ago that literally shut down our civilization. I mean, they shut it down. Okay, they locked us up. I mean, there were times in my country where you could not leave to go anywhere outside of like a 5-kilometer radius. Okay, we were literally locked down. And that was under the World Health Organization guidance. So our governments listen to these evil pricks, okay? These shit stains on humanity. Our governments listen to them. And our governments implement the guidance from the World Health Organization. And now it is being publicly released that they are suggesting 4-year-olds learn about gender identity. Okay. It gets worse, guys. All right. So the guidance says that sexuality education starts from birth. Yeah. From birth. From when they're a little baby, you have to start teaching them about sex and their sexuality. This is effing disgusting. I really just want to let fly right now. I probably should have made this live stream 18 plus so that I could, because I'm so enraged by this bullshit. I don't think people understand just how disgusting and how evil this shit is. And they're literally showing us to our faces. They're mocking us. They're mocking us. They're treating us like we're absolute idiots and that they can just put this shit out, attack our children with this disgusting pedophilia, sanctioning pedophilia literally, right? Having teachers, strangers to our family who are not family members, talking about this type of subject matter to a 4-year-old. Okay, any teacher that feels the need to talk about sex to a 4-year-old has issues. Okay. And it seems that now any teacher that doesn't really feel comfortable about that, and there are teachers that don't feel comfortable about the social engineering that is currently happening to our children. But there are plenty of teachers out there that are completely okay with it. And there is something very mentally wrong with these types of people that are completely okay with teaching a 4-year-old about sexuality. So sexuality education starts from birth. So this is from the World Health Organization. Okay, I'm not making this up. This is literally, this can be found on their website. Okay. And it is described as a framework for policymakers, educational and health authorities and specialists. Its advice on how to talk about sexual matters with young children was aimed at policymakers across Europe and was translated into several European languages and promoted at national and international events, according to the World Health Organization. The document was also cited in a report consulted by Welsh ministers who last year rolled out a mandatory sexual education syllabus to schools in Wales. So schools in Wales are actually teaching this to 4-year-olds right now. So if you're a parent in Wales and you're sending your children to schools that are teaching your child about sexuality and sex and gender identity at 4, you're a freaking failure of a parent. Not only are you a freaking failure of a parent, you're a freaking failure as a human being, full stop. Okay? I mean, what's it going to take, people, for you to take back your power and to protect your children? Because all of the establishments are corrupted. Okay, if you claim to be awake, and this is what I find it so laughable, okay, it does my head in, right? That all these people claim to be awake, or, oh, we're waking up. You know, in the last 3 years, it's been a mass awakening. You know, we're waking up now. Okay. I mean, I had someone say to me the other day, you know, just when you think people might be getting it, right? And I have to say that, you know, I've been awake for a very, very long time. I mean, I was doing videos and warning people this shit was coming down the line 12 years ago, okay, and getting nothing but hate from it, getting mocked about it, all right? I was a doomer, okay? I was, you know, insane to think that this would ever happen, you know. And I can tell you now that talking to anybody in my, you know, local area, my town, you know, there just would be no way that anybody in my inner circle, in my local community, would be talking about this stuff. Okay, talking about that the government was corrupted and that there was a, you know, hidden agenda. You know, a lot of people are waking up to that there is a hidden agenda going on here, that there is a shadow government, that there is a narrative being pushed here at us and an agenda. I mean, you know, people talk to me about it all the time. People in everyday life, the normies, you know, I like to call them normies, right? So people are aware and are waking up to the fact that our governments are corrupted, right? So every now and then I talk to somebody about this and it's like, oh, wow, somebody is actually, you know, waking up and and then they say something so freaking stupid. You just wish you didn't even start talking to them in the first place. You know, like this person the other day who said to me, oh, and they're really stuffed up with the COVID card. Yeah, because you know what? They woke everybody up. Yeah, so they really stuffed up on that one. Yeah, no. They wanted to wake everybody up because they know that even though they're waking everybody up, everybody just went back to sleep because they just corralled them down all these false paths. So now everybody woke up just to be corralled down these other false paths with all of this bullshit that they still don't really understand the truth or who their enemy is. You know, I mean, I still have people who claim to be awake and yet they think that a politician is going to save us. You know, I see people every day who think they're awake and think that when Trump gets back into power, he's going to save us. You know, like they're that stupid that the first time that they got conned, they didn't wake up and, you know, I know a lot of people woke up. You know, I know a lot of people woke up to the fact that Trump was a frickin', you know, puppet playing his part. A lot of people were caught up in it because Trump was very outside the box, okay? He was very, very outside of the norm when it came to the conservative, usual politicians that were within the American sphere of politics, you know. So a lot of people thought, well, maybe this is it. You know, maybe there really is someone that's going to drain the swamp and lock her up. And did he? No, he didn't drain the swamp. He filled the swamp. Okay. He didn't lock her up because the Clintons were good people and he just didn't want to do that to them. You know, he just didn't want to hurt them and put them through any of that because they're good people. I mean, he literally said that on 60 Minutes, okay, when he was interviewed. He literally had a standing ovation for the Clintons at his speech, his inauguration speech. You can find that video online. And yet I still have people who swear to me that Trump is going to be the one that saves us. A politician's going to save us. So this is why we're done, guys. Put a fork in it. Okay, we are done. And so The other reason that I know that we're not, waking up and that there's no mass awakening, as much as people want to delude themselves that there's a mass awakening, I know that there's not a mass awakening. Because if there was a mass awakening happening, all of the government schools would be frickin' empty. Okay. There wouldn't be any kids in there because people would be identifying how corrupted the system is, how evil the government are, and the agenda that they have to socially engineer our children. And they would actually go and be active, proactive, and apply the knowledge that they have. And they would take their children out of these institutions, these government institutions, and protect their children. But they don't. All they do is they just comment on social media about how awake they are and how evil the government is, Yet, the government is so evil, but apparently not that evil that they can still trust them with their children's minds for 6 hours every day, 5 days a week. In fact, most children spend more time with strangers being socially engineered in a government institution than they do with their own parents. So nobody said waking up was going to be easy. And nobody said protecting your children was going to be easy. But if you love your children and you want to protect them from this shit, because this shit isn't going away. I mean, I don't know if people think that just one day it's all going to get better and it's just going to not be evil anymore and there's just not going to be any blue-haired teachers with 100 piercings telling your children that they can be the opposite gender and that it's perfectly okay to, be homosexual. I don't know if people just think that that's going to go away one day, because it's not going to go away. Okay, it's just going to get worse and worse and worse. And it's just going to be, at what point do you freaking find the spine, find the courage to stand up for your child and protect your child from the evil that is in control of our governments and in control of our world? I mean, what do they need to tell you? What do they need to do? I mean, they're literally now telling us, right, that it's okay to teach children at 4 years old about sex, about their sexuality, about whether they want to have sex with males or females. And it's okay if they want to have sex with someone their own gender. And it's okay that they don't even want to be their gender. I mean, children don't know about sexuality and gender at 4 years old. They only know what they're taught. So if they're now coming for our children at 4 years old, what chance do our children have? And if you think, I mean, I had someone say to me once that, and he was on Twitter, right, this dude, and he had a huge following and he had, he was putting up videos and the whole thing, and he was, living like kind of, off the grid, and, he was fully telling everybody, about how evil the government was. And then he was sending his child to school, right? Because he was telling all of these stories about his child, and what would happen at school that day. And I said to him, so you know how evil the government is, you know how they're socially engineering your children, and your child, but you're still sending your child into the belly of the beast every day. And he said, oh no, I know how much influence I have over my child's mind. It's completely okay. My child tells me everything. Really? You think your child tells you everything? Because I can tell you now, your child's not telling you everything. Okay? And your child wants to fit in. Your child might think you're cool, but at the end of the day, your child wants to be liked by his peers. Your child wants to fit in with everybody else. And if everybody else in the class agrees that you can change gender, then guess what? Your child is going to agree with everybody else because they don't want to be the odd one out with no friends. Okay, we have a herd mentality. That's why we're so easy to socially engineer, because it takes a lot of courage to go against the grain, to go against the crowd, to be the one that goes against the tide of sheep that are, the flock of sheep that are going one way, and you are actually walking against them. It takes a lot of courage, and you're going to, go against the grain, and you're not going to make a lot of friends. Okay, people are not going to like you. Okay, because when you go against the grain, when you go against the crowd, you make them think perhaps what they're doing is wrong too, and they don't want to think that. They want to think that what they're doing is completely right because everybody else is doing it and the government's telling us to do it, so it must be right. So you're going to end up having a lot of conflict with those around you when you go against the grain and you do something completely different to what they're doing and what they're, collectively doing. So it takes courage to protect your child because you're going to be going against the crowd. Okay, but what is your child's mental health worth? I mean, you think these children aren't going to grow up with freaking issues, with mental health issues? I mean, children are suiciding now at like 12, 13 years old. Okay. And this is because children are so confused right now. They don't even know what gender they are, and they don't even know what's right or wrong anymore, what's morally right or morally wrong, because apparently being a moral person is evil in these times. Okay. It's intolerant. It's funny, isn't it, that when you want to be a moral person and follow natural law, then you're intolerant. Okay. But the people that are pushing the agenda, who don't actually accept, your beliefs and your moral integrity and your, the way you are morally working your way through society and in society, then it's okay for them to be intolerant of your beliefs and intolerant of the way you want to be a person with morals and integrity and values, and teach that to your children, because nobody's teaching that to your children at school. Okay, nobody's teaching your children to have morals and ethics and values. All right, nobody's teaching them that. What they're teaching them is that whatever they want to do, they can do, and it's okay. It's all love. Okay, it's all freedom. All right, you want to be the different gender, fine. You want to identify as something, 100 different genders out there at the moment, that's fine. You want to have different pronouns, that's fine. You want to go wear a dress, you want to go and, have sexual relations with, that same gender, that's all fine. And children are very impressionable, and especially young adults, when they're around 13, 14, 15 years old. And a lot of these children are wanting to be special. Okay, and at the moment, if you're part of this LGBTQ, man, I'm going to be setting off these algorithms. Holy crap. But, if you want to be special in these times, then to be part of that group, okay, makes you special, all right? And so these children, they are engaging in these behaviors, right, to be accepted and to be special. And in years to come, they are going to feel guilt and regret when they start maturing, okay, and when they start seeing the world differently. And we're already seeing where these people who have transitioned literally hacked their body parts off, literally taken testosterone and are now losing their hair. And they have these women have a very deep voice like a male, and they've lost their hair, they've got getting baldness, and their hairline's receding, and they've realized they've made a mistake, right? There's nothing they can do to reverse that. A lot of them won't ever have children, okay? And a lot of them will never live normal lives. So expect a lot of suicides to continue within this generation, because we have failed them. And when I say we have failed them, guys, because collectively we're supposed to be protecting the children, and we're not doing a very good job of it. So, so Wales has already rolled this out. So to all of you people that live in Wales, all of you parents that live in Wales that are sending children to these schools, teaching your child at 4 years old that, that they can have sexual relations with the same gender, and they can change gender, then you really are a poor excuse for a parent. There's nothing more I can say about it, and I don't apologize for saying that. And I am going to be very strong with saying that, because we're at this time now, okay, that we have to start speaking out about this without worrying about hurting people's feelings, okay? It's time for a wake-up call, all right? It's time to cut the shit, guys, and realize they're coming for our children now, and somebody has to stand up and say no, okay? And so I am not going to just go silently into the night when it comes to them attacking our children. You know, as I've said before, this is the hill I will frickin' die on. Okay, this is the hill. The children are innocent. They are the purest souls among mankind, which is why these Jesuit shit stains on humanity who hate God and hate all that is divine are now attacking the purest souls among us. And we're just freaking standing there allowing it to happen. Okay? Too busy arguing with each other about who's more correct, you know. Whose politician's better, you know, Biden or Trump. They're both freaking imbeciles. They're both freaking puppets, okay? Playing their part. They're all puppets, guys. How long do you think that if they didn't have a really good stage show to convince you that it was what they were playing out right now was true, that their script would work on you? Of course it's got to look genuine, or they wouldn't fool anybody. But it's all a stage show. Bill Gates, Elon Musk, Zuckerberg, Bezos, okay, Branson, like all of them are puppets. They're all front men. They didn't even invent the technology that they're fronting. They just took it over and become the public face. They're all puppets. Every single politician, they all go and visit the Jesuit. Why is that? They all go and kiss his ring because he is their master. And we just sit there and watch it and think nothing of it. And that's because they know that they can get away with what they're doing, and we're just not going to ever clue on, because it's been so part of our existence and our reality that the government are true and correct, and the government, we have to listen to them, and the school system, we have to send our children there, and we have to go to work, and we have to work 9 till 5, and we have to make money, and we have to pay our mortgage, and that is part of our reality. But that was all created for us. It's a machine, guys. It's a machine that they created to trap us in. Our mentality, our minds are trapped in this system. And they know how trapped we are in this system. That now as the system is starting to unravel, because they're unraveling it on purpose, right? And they started this 3 years ago. As I said, they're waking us up on purpose. They will eventually reveal themselves to us. And they're slowly doing this. But because we're so brainwashed and we're so socially engineered and we're so trapped, our minds are so trapped in this reality they've created for us, we just can't accept it. It's just not possible for us to process it. So you have to remove yourself from the system. That's what I've said before. Stop watching TV. Stop watching TV. Okay? Throw your TV out the window. Literally throw it out the window. Try not to throw it onto anybody. But make a statement. Throw it out in your backyard and just smash that effer. Right? Okay, maybe not if you're just watching Netflix on it like I am. Okay? I choose what I want to put into my mind. Okay? I do not watch cable TV. I think that's what you guys call it over there, or programmed TV is like what they call it over here. Public TV. I do not watch it. I watch streaming channels. I pick and choose what I watch. I can't tell you how many times I start watching a movie to turn it off halfway through because I just cannot stomach the amount of social engineering. So I normally watch a lot of old movies before they were using Netflix to social engineer us. And by the way, Netflix was only created so that they could create content to socially engineer us. So yeah, I just watch the old movies, anything from the 80s and the 90s and, the 70s, all of that old stuff, anything, prior to the end of the 90s is still pretty safe to watch. I mean, there's always going to be some social engineering in there because they're creating our reality using the media. I mean, that's how they create our reality and confirm it for us continually. But anything that's recent, especially from anything from, say, 2000 and the 2010s, yeah, forget it. Okay, it's all full of social engineering. It's no mistake, guys. No coincidence, okay, that every Netflix movie now has a gay couple, right? Has a transgender in it, and they just put it in there like it's nothing, like it's just, oh yeah, it's just that gay couple and it's just that transgender. They just slip them on in there, so there's nothing wrong with it. It's completely normal. And that is because they are socially engineering us using Netflix and all of these streaming channels. Disney is the worst as well. Do not let your children watch Disney shows. Okay, Disney content is just absolutely full of social engineering. And they are really coming for the children. I mean, they always were. And you know that there is actual stills from the cartoons that you can find videos about on YouTube that are shaped like phallic shapes that they have hidden in these cartoons. Okay, so they've been subtly socially engineering and sexualizing our children for a very, very long time. But now they're doing it openly. I mean, this is how close we are, guys. They're coming for the children openly now. I mean, this stuff from the World Health Organization was publicly, it was put into the public sphere a few days ago on purpose. Remember how I said after they crown their false messiah, they're really going to, escalate the shit show? And that's what's happening, okay? They are really now pushing ahead with all of the different subplots that they need to put in place while they bring in, the final part of their script and they play out the final part of their script. They have all of these little subplots that they have to play out. And it's all about destroying the divine nature within mankind. And they've destroyed us. I mean, they've destroyed us. Look at us. Look at us. We should be ashamed of ourselves. Look around at what they've done to us. We're all bickering with each other about politics, about gender, about religion. I mean, look at us. We are the Tower of Babel right now. Okay, none of us listening to each other. None of us, can understand what each other is saying or wants to listen to each other. Everyone has an opinion. Everyone's, special. They all have their soapbox now because, social media has allowed that. So any dumbass can actually get on their soapbox and just spew ignorance, and they actually plant a lot of these people that cause dissension and disruption, and you'll see them. You get to pick them when you watch, go and watch a CNN or Fox News video. I don't often watch them because it is just pure propaganda, but sometimes it's just good to know what they're shoveling out, the shit that they're shoveling out to the hive mind. And you can often see where they have their trolls and their shills who start arguments, who just say something about, Trump or Biden and start arguments. And then the next minute you have like 50 different replies to this one comment that was made by this shill. And it's a shill because the shill never replies, okay? The shill just starts the shit and then sits back and watches it play out, right? And so this is what they're doing, okay? So you can't trust anybody online anymore. I'm sorry to tell you that, but there is nobody you can trust anymore online. You just don't know. People are faceless. People who you think could be on your side, could be controlled opposition. Okay, you just don't know. Okay, so you have to distrust everybody. It's just the time that we are living in right now. So the advice proposes, I'm just going to get to the last sentence of this article that I took from the ones that I'm showing you on the pictures that I'm showing on that loop. And it says the advice proposes that 4 to 6-year-olds should be taught to talk about sexual matters and consolidate their gender identity. And this even suggests that 4-year-olds should be shown or should be discussing masturbation. 4-year-olds. 4-year-olds. I mean, guys, I just don't get it because, you know, I mean, I saw this shit show starting to unfold 12 years ago and it was blowing my mind back then that I could see shit happening and nobody else could see it, you know, and I was like, guys, you know, look what they're doing here. Can't you see that? Look what's happening. Look what they're doing. And people were like, oh, you just, you know, you're such a hater. You're such a doomer. Like, I remember I did a rant video and I did get quite colourful with my language because back in back in 2013 and 2014 you could actually, you know, do a proper rant video and use as, you know, much colourful language as you wanted and you would not be you know, censored at all. You would not be in trouble. You would not be threatened to have your channel taken down. Okay. And so I just used to let fly, you know, and I saw back in 2013, it was towards the end of 2013, I've since taken this video down because it could very easily get my channel taken down. And so I've had to go back through all of my videos and any of my videos where I've been giving my opinion on this sexualization of children and this homosexual agenda I've had to take down because I just know that, you know, eventually the algorithms will find these videos and I will, you know, have my channel removed. And I'm trying to keep my channel up as long as I can. I know eventually it is going to get taken down. I had a warning the other day given to me by YouTube because I called Kim Kardashian ugly. It was just like a YouTube short video that came up and I somehow got caught up in the algorithm. It was showing me all these celebrity idiots and I just said something about, oh, she's ugly, you know, inside and out, something like that. And well, I got a YouTube warning about that and they warned me that if it continues, they will take my channel down. So I just know it's a matter of time, okay? They're just going to find some way, somehow, to take my channel down. And so when that happens, I do have a Rumble account that I have started. So I will move over to Rumble. I've downloaded all of my most important videos and saved them to my hard drive. I finally went and did that a few weeks ago. So they're all safe. I'm not going to do that with my live stream. So all of the information that is on my live streams, if you find anything that you found interesting and you want to listen over it a few times, because I am actually letting out a lot of knowledge, okay, on those live streams. I'm just going with the flow and it's just pouring out, okay, especially about the divine race and the divine souls and, you know, the divine operation on the physical plane and all of that type of stuff. I'm just kind of really putting it out there, like, you know, as much as I can. So if there's stuff in there that you've heard and you didn't quite get the first time and you want to listen to it a few times just to kind of get a good grasp of it and go and do more research into it, because I always say, guys, that you should go and research everything that I say. Go and research it, right? I've got all of the resources that I use, all of the ancient texts, okay, that I use to piece back together all of the fragmented knowledge that the Catholic Church tried to destroy starting 1700 years ago when they met with the Council of Nicaea and Emperor Constantine helped them create the narrative that modern Christians now actually align themselves with, the incorrect interpretation of the scriptures. Okay, it all started 1700 years ago, and then from that time it just was them consolidating power and, pillaging all of the cultures and taking their knowledge and all of their texts and either burning them, okay, burning anybody that was not aligning themselves with the Catholic doctrine, and then they either hoarded all of that knowledge underneath the Vatican in the library there, or they just destroyed it, okay? But knowing the Catholics, okay, they have hoarded it in the library. What I would give to go into that library, I can only imagine the knowledge. I mean, I've just been able to piece back what they haven't destroyed, okay? And we've got a pretty good idea. I mean, we don't have we don't have all of it, but we at least have enough to put back together the basics and have some idea of what was the knowledge that was stolen from humanity. But yeah, what they've got in that library would blow our minds, okay? And they know exactly what's coming, which is why they're acting out like psychopaths right now, okay? Because there's a timeline that they're on, all right? There really is going to be an Armageddon. There really is going to be a Ragnarok. There really is going to be an apocalypse, okay? It's not just a mythology, okay? Even though the public mindset is that it's just religion, don't pay attention to that. It's just a group of people that believe in fairy tales, okay? They love that, the large majority of humanity believe that it's just a fairy tale because they know the truth and they know they're on a timeline, okay? And when we don't know that, it's confusing to us why they're acting the way they are. I mean, why would they nuke everything? They've got to live on the planet too. Mutually assured destruction. Hello. They're never going to let off any nukes. Yeah. No, they're going to let off nukes because they know what's coming for their asses. All right? They're on a timeline. And we can see that the planet is becoming more unstable. And eventually the planet is going to be that unstable with earthquakes and volcanic activity and severe weather patterns. I mean, the jet stream is changing. It's, creating instability in all of the weather patterns. And eventually it is going to become so unstable that they will not be able to continue in power. Because, you can only flood so many, crops, for so many years in a row. And eventually it's not just going to happen every 4 years. It's going to happen every year, and then it's going to happen every 6 months, and then it's going to happen it's going to continue to the point where we are going to have food shortages, and we are going to experience a spanner in the works that we have known as our reality, because everything is finely tuned. It's been like an engine humming along, for the last 100 years since the Industrial Revolution. They've created this system that's just been humming along. They've created the monetary system, and they've got, the taxes, and, they first of all, they pegged our, currency to gold, and then the gold standard was removed, and so money really was worthless from that time on. But we were so socially engineered and brainwashed to believe that piece of paper it's got value, right? It's just a piece of paper, isn't it? Like, really, when you use your logical mind and you look at a dollar note, it's just a piece of paper. It's not even backed by gold. So why do we believe that has value? Well, that's because we're brainwashed. Okay, it's as simple as that. All right, so we've just had this machine, this engine humming along, and there's been no problems with it, as long as everything was finely tuned and it was all, and, every time we had any recessions, they created them, okay, because they had to keep us in lack. So whenever we started getting a little bit too, rich, and everything was like, everyone's got a little bit of money now, and we can all afford a house, and we can all afford to go out and have dinner, and, life's good, they had to put a spanner in the works, okay, and they had to slow it down a bit. Well, literally what they did 3 years ago was they put a huge big wrench right in the middle of the frickin' engine, okay, and they left it in there for about 1.5 years. And they just broke as much of the supply chain and the system as they could, and we're still kind of reeling from that. Okay, we're just existing on, it's like the engine's running but it's not tuned anymore. Okay, and so all they've done now is just pump more money into the system. Okay, more fake money. All right, and now it's basically started a doom loop with hyperinflation. And we can see what happened in Venezuela with hyperinflation. And I always said that. You can go back and look at videos where I've said years ago when Venezuela was experiencing hyperinflation and it was getting to ridiculous levels, right? That's our future. They're literally showing us. They're foreshadowing it. They do that to us to mock us because Westerners think it's never going to happen to us. You know, it's never going to happen. You know, and everyone's like, oh, the Fed's going to pivot. You know, they're not going to keep raising rates. No, they're going to keep raising rates because they're trying to break the system. They want to break it. They want to break it. So this is what's happening now. Like, our reality that we've known is going to break. And most people aren't going to survive it because, you know, our electricity grids are eventually going to be taken out, probably from a cyber attack. I've seen a lot of foreshadowing about that, so I wouldn't be surprised if they use a cyber attack to take out our electricity grids. And so there's going to be a lot of death. But that isn't going to be the end, okay? So when all of that happens and we think that it just can't get any worse than it is, because there's going to be like about 2 weeks, 3 weeks of, like, you know, a full-on purge situation where, you know, no electricity, you know, people are dying because the hospitals are, you know, everything's just, there's going to be then saviors come in, okay? This is what they're going to have planned for us, because what they're doing is they're copying divine operation, okay? And so they're mimicking how the divine operates on the physical plane and the ethereal plane too. And so at the end of the Ragnarok, you know, the apocalypse, when the light illuminates the divine souls within humanity, well, then they're going to come and clean up the mess. So they're going to have their own version of that, where the evil right now in control, and they're so... we look at them now and they're just buffoons, you know, they're just idiots. And people actually think that the Fed don't know what they're doing. Oh, they just don't know they're making a mistake right now. They can't see what they're doing. No, they know what they're doing. They're trying to be inept. They want to be as inept as possible. And, you know, geriatric president of the United States who's just an absolute buffoon, idiot. Well, no, then you have the buffoon, you know, Trump, you know, so you've got one or the other, the geriatric idiot who doesn't even remember his own name. And then you've got the rich buffoon, you know, who's just... you know, an absolute cretin, all about greed and money, and appeals to that part of the human nature as well. They know that, you know, they know that greed part of Trump appeals to people. So when they bring it all down, they're going to do away with that cast of characters, okay, the nefarious ones, the evil ones, and then they're going to bring in a new set of, you know, a whole new set of actors are going to come in, new cast is going to come in, new plot line, and it's going to be the saviors, okay, who are going to promise that they're nothing like those evil people and that they're going to save us. And then that's when they're going to bring in communism, okay, and central bank digital currency, surveillance, because you know what, if you're not doing anything wrong, then why worry, you know, hello. And universal basic income, so they're going to enact all that. So we've still got a way to go, Sky. We've still got a ways to go. So I'm thinking, and I've said this before, that it's going to probably be the financial card this year, being it's a number 7 year. And I've said this before, Christine Lagarde made a big speech back in, I think it was 2015. You just have to do a search in YouTube, Christine Lagarde, and then put in magic number 7, and you'll see this big speech she made back then about the number 7 and how it's so important. And you know, we were scratching our heads back then because we were like, what is she talking about the number 7 for? Like, what the hell? She's the chairwoman of the European Central Bank, and she's standing up there to all of these reporters talking about the magic number 7. I mean, it was just weird. So I wouldn't be surprised, because 2023 is a 7 year. So the second half of the year from June onwards, that they do play out the financial shit show card. And I wouldn't even be surprised if this debt ceiling thing does actually blow up, because everyone's expecting it not to. And they love to blindside us. And so we know that, you know, they've gone through this whole debt ceiling bullshit before. And it always just, you know, they end up raising the debt ceiling, and it's just crisis averted. Everyone was carrying on about nothing. So it could very well be that this time it does actually blow up into a bit of a shit show. So I think from June onwards, we may start seeing more of this financial shit show playing out, but who knows. But this video wasn't really about that. This video, guys, I just wanted to bring your attention to how they're now coming for our children. They're showing us that they're coming for our children, guys. They're literally showing us, okay? They're telling us, okay? The World Health Organization are telling us that they're coming for our children. They're going to corrupt them. They're sexualizing our children. And you know, guys, as well as I do, that there is going to be a section of the community, a section of our society who are going to be okay with sexualizing 4-year-olds. They're going to be completely okay with that. And these people usually have green or blue hair, or usually know somebody with green or blue hair and support and encourage that person with green or blue hair and multiple piercings in their face. I mean, these people are very easy to identify because they have this certain look to them and this certain identity that they like to project to the world. And these people are some of the most evil people amongst us. Now, I'm not saying that that doesn't mean that there are modern Christians out there, okay, religious people that are just as brainwashed and are just as, you know, lost, because they are. But at least they've managed to maintain some type of moral standard. Okay, whereas these other people, there is no moral standard for them at all. They have no problem with taking children to strip shows. They have no problem with taking children to pride shows. And that's what I was actually going to say, and I ended up going on a tangent, that back in 2014, I did a video, a rant video, about a pride march where they were actively encouraging families to come along. Okay, like they had pride marches prior to this, all right? It had been a thing and people knew about it. But from this time on, from around 2013, they started actively encouraging families to go along. It was like family entertainment. Bring your kids. It's a family thing, you know. And that, when I saw that, I just could see where this agenda was going. You know, that they were now starting to target children, okay? And so I had this big rant video about it, and I got nothing but hate. People were like shocked, like, oh my God, how can you say that? You're such a hater. Because, you know, look, before I found the knowledge, okay, and in 2013, early 2013, I found an artifact. Well, I didn't find it. Another researcher did. And he put the golden mean ratio over an artifact. And I looked at that and realized, because the Fibonacci sequence is numbers encoded in the golden mean ratio, and the way that it was on that artifact, it allowed me to unlock a lot of knowledge. It unlocked it. It was like the ancient Egyptians knew that. And so I overlaid that with the symbolism of the Rider-Waite Tarot and the Kabbalah Tree of Life. And then I brought it all together using also the Hindu mythology with all of their gods as well and what they represented. And it all just unlocked a whole heap of knowledge, right? And then I kind of experienced a paradigm shift. I mean, I don't know what else to call it, because I just realized then and there that God was real, that there was a creator. I mean, I'd always kind of been, yeah, there may be a creator. And I was very new agey about it, like, you know, it's kind of universal source and Christ consciousness. You know, I was kind of all real, you know, airy-fairy about it. And I didn't want to say God. I never used that word. And I, you know, didn't want to kind of identify it with an entity of any sort. And it was just wishy-washy. But from that time on, when I could actually confirm all of the knowledge, and it confirmed itself for me over and over again, and it just all came together, then yeah, I experienced this paradigm shift, and I just knew without a doubt that there was a creator, and it all came together for me. And I mean, you know, the golden mean ratio and the Fibonacci sequence is the language of the creator. Okay, mathematics is the language of the creator. I am not well versed in mathematics at the high level, but I do understand the basics of sacred geometry and you know, the golden mean ratio and Fibonacci sequence. And so anyway, I knew when I saw this knowledge, and I knew without a doubt that it was real, and I knew without a doubt that, you know, the creator was real and there was a creator, that I had to start, if I was going to walk my talk, how I'd been, you know, talking for the last 2 years, that I was a truth seeker, Thyalwaysseek, seeking out the truth, that I had to tell the truth whether people liked it or not. I had to be truthful, you know, or what kind of person would that make me? You know, I wouldn't have even been able to look myself in the mirror. Okay, I'm not one of those people that can lie easily and just not feel extreme guilt about it. Okay, like I do not deal well with being dishonest. So I had to be truthful, right? And so I knew then that there was universal law. And before that time, I had friends that were homosexuals, okay? And I was okay with it. I was like, yeah, whatever, you know, just, you know, whatever you want, as long as you're not hurting anybody else. I don't care. I don't have a problem with it. And a lot of my followers were actually homosexuals as well, okay? And so I never really had any issues. And I still don't, you know, I don't actually personally dislike someone because of the sexual choices they've made. But I just could not continue to teach this knowledge and not actually relay the truth about them being out of alignment with divine law, because they are, okay? They're transgressing divine law. So I had to say that. And so I got a lot of hate from that. Okay, I got a lot of people that no longer followed me, that hated me, stalked me, you know, made videos about me, said lots of nasty things about me. But I just had to be truthful, okay? And I was sorry that it hurt anybody's feelings, but I really did want them to find the right path too. I wanted them to see what I was seeing, okay, and understand the truth like I understood it, so that they could walk the path to truth as well, instead of just wanting to cherry pick, because that's what they do. Okay, so I'm sorry anybody that is a homosexual and listening to my streams and still think that you can engage in that behavior, but you can't, you know, if you want to be on the path to truth and to your divine nature, because you are transgressing divine law. And so I did get a lot of hate for that from that video. I said that there was going to be an agenda. They were pushing an agenda, and look, here we are now. Okay, it started with the Pride marches and encouraging families to partake in these Pride marches and encouraging their children, okay? And then it went to marriage, okay? Homosexual marriage. That's when I lost my Facebook account, because I was speaking out about that. I wasn't being nasty to anybody. I was literally just cutting and pasting all of the knowledge about the divine union back in ancient Greece, which is what marriage is taken from, okay? And so I was just relating that knowledge to people, trying to show people that it's a male and female, it's male and female. You can't be male and, you know, why don't you just have a civil union? You know, I'm not saying don't have a your relationship sanctioned by the government so that you can, because isn't that what they wanted to do it for, you know, so that it was easier legally? You know, I mean, even have a nice special little ceremony if you want and just have a civil union. But no, they had to be married. They had to attack the religious institutes, okay, because that's what it's about, all right? It's about attacking the divine nature within mankind. And so they went for the marriage, and now we got the marriage, and now they're equal. They all get married as well. But they didn't stop, you know, they didn't stop with that, did they, guys? No, they didn't. They kept going. They kept pushing the agenda. Okay, and now it's to the point where we've got pedophiles attaching themselves to the LGBTQ community, all right, and transgenders, you know, and you know, I don't know if you guys know or not, and I know people aren't going to like this statistic. You can go and look it up if you like, but do you know that pedophiles are 10 times more likely to be homosexual? Okay, so I mean, I'm sorry, that's just the facts, you know, and now we're allowing these people to adopt children, Okay, so people think I'm being a hater when I'm actually just relaying the truth, but truth is hate in these times because people don't want to be accountable and they just want to be able to indulge in their carnal urges and their carnal nature, and they don't want to be called out on it. And so when you actually get called out on doing that, then you get hate for it, you know. And so my whole, you know, my whole belief around homosexuality is that people can do what they want to do in their own bedrooms, okay? It's up to anybody to do what they want to do. Everyone has free will and everyone has the choice to choose whatever path they want. That has nothing to do with me. But when it starts being forced upon society, when it starts being forced upon children, that's when I have that issue. And so that's why I have an issue now, because they're bringing children into it. They're corrupting children. And that's when I will stand up and say, no, you won't do it. And I don't care if you want to call me a hater. I don't care if you want to say that I'm intolerant. I am freaking intolerant of people pushing deviancy to children, okay? Because that's where it's descended to now. It's descended to this degeneracy. It's degeneracy now. It's not just people engaging in something in the privacy of their own home. It's brought into our public arena and forced in our faces and forced in our children's faces. And it's done to corrupt them. And so every person who has taken a path previously, perhaps down that path, because they were unsure and confused and just, you know, discovering themselves and life. And I mean, you know, nobody's perfect. Everyone does take different paths. But if you do find the path to the truth, but you don't want to accept that truth because it takes work to work on yourself and move yourself from that carnal part of who you are, then, you know, you've made your choice, and it is what it is. But everyone can take that path and, you know, walk a new, you know, path towards their divinity. There's never, you can, you know, no human soul is beyond redeeming themselves, ever. You know, I mean, well, okay, I say that, but, you know, child rapists, child murderers, pedophilia, no, never, no redemption. No, that is beyond redemption in my books. Universally, I don't know. You know, I can't say. I don't speak for the Creator and, you know, what transgresses, you know, completely and makes a soul completely irredeemable. But to me, that's the line, you know, no, because you have destroyed a pure soul with your actions, with your carnal urges. And that's a sickness, all right? That's a type of sickness. So yeah, to me, that is beyond. But if it's just engaging in adult sexual relations, or even teenage sexual relations, then yeah. I mean, I don't see how there's any problem with somebody finding the path back to themselves and, you know, realizing that, you know, that was their past and that they need to move forward and find who they are and align themselves with universal law. So, you know, yeah, I just want people to know that, yeah, if, you know, I don't want people to think that if they've had previous experiences that there's something that they cannot move forward from, because that's not true. Okay, that is not true. Everyone can, you know, make a concerted effort to move forward and correct themselves. It's all about self-correcting. So anyway, guys, I didn't want this stream to be longer than an hour. I did just want to bring your attention to the fact that they're coming for the children. They're just making no secret about it now, guys. And I agree, Aaron. It worries me to think you know, what they have planned behind these agendas too, because I know that we are approaching very, very dark days. And the people who will suffer the most are the ones who are most connected to this delusion, this illusion of reality, because they are just going to continue going along with it as though everything's okay, business as usual. And even though the evil is showing themselves now, showing themselves purposely, like letting us know, you know, who they are. These people who are so hooked into the system, so hooked up to the matrix, just cannot identify it because they cannot process the evil. It's just too evil for them to even be able to process the diabolical scheme behind what they have done to humanity is just so evil that people can't comprehend it. And that's how they can hide from us so easily, by actually putting it in front of our faces, because it's just so evil people can't identify it. People could not imagine that anybody could be so evil. But they're coming for the children, guys. So if anybody is on the fence about homeschooling and you've found this video, this is the video that is telling you that it's time to apply this knowledge to your experience and protect your children from these evil shit stains on humanity, because they're not going to give up until they have your child in their grasp. And you need to be the one that protects your child, because nobody else is, okay? It's only going to be you. And I can tell you that there's so much, you know, resources on the internet. Use it to your advantage. You can easily homeschool your children with the internet. Okay, it is easy to do. And children only need to know the basics of reading and writing and mathematics, and then let them self-educate. Okay, let them go and find out what interests them, whether it's history, whether it's geography, whether it's science. Let them go and find subjects that interest them. But the basics, once they've got the basics, your child can go and self-educate. So there is no reason that any of us can't homeschool our own children when we've got the resources that we do now due to the internet. And if you live in a state where they're not allowing you to homeschool your children, you need to move. Okay, you need to move heaven and earth to find a way that you can homeschool and protect your child and move to another state. And I know it's not easy. As I said, who said waking up was going to be easy? I mean, I homeschooled my children. It wasn't easy, okay? And nobody was really doing it back then. There's more homeschoolers now than there's ever been because of all of this other bullshit that they played out the last 3 years. But there's still not enough, because as I said, when this information is coming out from the World Health Organization, all right, and they're saying that this should be implemented in schools, and you don't see that schools are now just like ghost towns, because parents have just like drawn a line and no way you're coming for my child or teaching my child this bullshit at 4 years old. But that's not happening. So that means that there's still people that are very much asleep. The majority of, you know, humanity are very much asleep. I know people want to delude themselves into thinking that there's a mass awakening happening, but it's not. It couldn't be further from the truth. In fact, I think we were probably more awake back in 2011 and 2012 than we are now. We were more open to new information than we are now. And now they've just got so much white noise and so many controlled opposition shills that there's nowhere for you to go for knowledge that's not already, you know, co-opted. You know, back then there were a lot of channels that really were just searching for the truth and really were just putting out knowledge and information of what they were finding. Now, if you see big channels that are putting out like alternative knowledge and alternative information, you've really got to wonder if there's an agenda behind it. So trust nobody but your own intellect, and protect your children, guys, because they're coming for your children. They're coming for them, and they're not even making a secret about it. So don't be one of those people that doesn't do it because you're just waiting for something, just one thing. You just keep waiting for that one thing, and then when that happens, you know, you're going to absolutely, you know, do what you have to do. And then by that time it's too late, and your child could be a victim. You know, your child could be one of the children that end up being so brainwashed they don't know their own gender. They end up in, you know, sexual relationships that are not mentally healthy for them, okay, and they could end up suiciding. Okay, this is a very big likelihood with our children right now. How many children are on pharmaceutical medications, you know? How many children are, you know, being prescribed, you know, depression medication when they're in their young teens? I mean, this is affecting their brains right now. Okay, this is just not going to end well. So protect your children. If you're listening to this stream, if you found this stream, protect your children. Protect them. Get them out of these government institutions. They're all corrupted. They're all corrupted to the core, and they're not going to stop attacking your children until they have destroyed their innocence completely. Well, I'm going to leave it here, guys. Have a great week. Livestream is going to be this coming Sunday night for you guys over in the US. I think it's 6:30 Eastern Standard Time, and that's going to be 8:30 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time for Aussies. And we are continuing to decode the Gospel of Thomas, okay? Gnostic Christianity, the real Christians, okay? We're going to be decoding the scriptures of real Christianity. So hope to see you there. Anyway, as I said, take care, guys. And as always, peace out.